Thank you. I call the member for Coomera.
Mr Deputy Speaker, I rise to make a contribution as a reply to the budget for 2019-20 presented on Tuesday. Mr Deputy Speaker, I represent the Coomera electorate, a huge growth area indeed. Pimpama is growth central in Queensland. It's the fastest growing region in the state and indeed second fastest in Australia. There are so many issues, there are so many infrastructure issues that we need to talk about, and so precious little time. And apart from roads, if I may start with a police hub. We're calling for a police hub in the Northern Gold Coast. Nothing in the budget, absolutely nothing. We want an additional 35 extra police to man that police hub. Nothing there for those either. Mr Deputy Speaker, there's currently 1,562 people have signed the electronic version of the petition, and I can assure you when we present the paper petition at the end of the time, it will have many thousands of people signing it. Indeed, just an observation, the Gold Coast Bulletin story, yet again another story about crime and issues, lack of police, etc. on the Northern Gold Coast. The people up there are absolutely fed up. Let me make it very clear. The police in the Northern Gold Coast are doing an outstanding job. They are doing a marvellous job, but it's with such a depletion in resources. We're meant to have 68 police officers. The reality is so many of those officers are off doing secondments in other areas, and indeed around about 10 are on leave at any one time. So the reality is we've got less than 50 police in the Northern Gold Coast, and we need those additional police desperately. But let me turn to the upgrades of exits 41 and 49. And I've got to say, Mr Deputy Speaker, there is nothing in the budget about the exits 41 and 49. A $96 million commitment, we're told, from an answer to a question on notice from the member for the member from McAllister, where the minister took up three-quarters, if not more than three-quarters, of his answer and talked about the Northern Gold Coast, specifically the Coomera electorate, and there was no mention of the fact that these numbers weren't in the budget. In fact, it states that the money is in the budget today. Well, it's not there. Yes, it's in Q-Trip, but would you believe that it's in Q-Trip on page 41 of Q-Trip under Other Work? This is how important this issue is for this minister. A $96 million investment in the Northern Gold Coast, dragged kicking and screaming by the people of the Northern Gold Coast. He's finally had to say, yes, we're going to tip the money in, and it comes under Other Work. That's how important it is to this minister. And why is it there? Because $50 million was brought on by the federal government, and by the way, the Labor candidate in the last election matched the $50 million, and yet this minister is calling for the now federal government, the ScoMo government, to tip in a further $46 million to match him. Well, it's interesting. It would have been okay if it was a federal Labor government for them to tip in $50 million. But because it's a ScoMo government and a Liberal national government, it's not good enough. So he wants them. Hey, go after it, Minister. I hope you get it from them, because all I want is exits 41 and 49 fixed. Exit 45. For under $20 million, we could resolve a simple solution. For under $20 million, we could resolve exit 45. Anything from the minister? Absolutely not. For years now, I've been told that there's planning going on for exit 45. Well, that's what I've been told for exits 41, 45, 38, 49. It just goes on and on. The planning is there. This minister continues to plan. He doesn't plan to build, and I wish he would just get his act together and do something about fixing these exits. For less than $20 million, we could have the solution resolved. Upgrade of exit 38, another one. Upgrades to Stapleton Jacobs Well Road, desperately needed. The second M1, no mention of building a second M1. desperately needed. We're already at capacity on the first M1. The second M1, it gets $10 million for planning again. Here we go, planning to plan yet again. A new railway station at Pimpama. Come on, Minister, get on board with a new railway station at Pimpama. You tell me in a letter just recently that the money is there. It's fully funded. Well, OK, bring it forward, because we're talking about the fastest growing region in Queensland. It needs that railway station now, not in 2024. Fantastic effort by Les Hargraves, the principal petitioner, we've got hundreds of petition signatures on the electronic petition, and I believe Les has got close to 1,000 signatures for the railway station on the paper petition that he's been running down there. The principal petitioner is doing a wonderful, wonderful job, and I thank Les Hargraves for the hard work that he's doing. Commissioning and opening the existing railway bridge at Pimpama. The paper petition has got 907 petitioners on it already. Sorry. The electronic petition has got 907 petitioners on it already, and I believe there's well over 1,000 on the paper petition. I'll tell you what, it's a no-brainer. There's a developer prepared to do the work for both the new railway bridge and also to do the work on the Pimpama railway station, and just get the money back off the government in 2022 or 2023, whenever they've got the money to pay for it. I don't get it. He says it's fully funded, but he tells me that it can't be delivered until 2024. But it's a no-brainer. I'll tell you what, I'll make a tip. The amount of pressure that's on this minister now to open that railway bridge on down in Pimpama, I'll tip that will be something, that'll be the next announcement, that'll be the next thing that this minister will announce that is being opened, because the pressure is on for this minister in the Northern Gold Coast. And by the way, letter into the minister, when is he going to duplicate the railway bridge on Yewelpa Road? That's the only part of the whole road that in a couple of months' time is going to be 4-lane, and that's a 2-lane bridge. When is he going to duplicate that? That's another question for the minister. More car parking at Ormeau Railway Station. Goodness gracious. The minister told me several months ago we're going to get 70 car parks. Well, that was going to replace 110+ car parks that we were using informally. He was going to give me 70. I said, no, not good enough, Minister. There's room to do a lot more than that. He snuck into the electorate a few weeks ago, snuck in, didn't let anybody know he was coming, got the media down there and announced the other 40 car parks. Yes, he did. He snuck in and did it. But anyway, that's great, Minister. And next time, Minister, for goodness sake, call into the office. I'll make you a cup of coffee. I'll take you for a drive around. Remember, a couple of years ago I invited you for a drive around the electorate and you said no thanks. More car parking at Ormeau Railway Station. That's the one we just talked about, 100+, 110+. More car parking at Coomera Railway Station. It takes $15 million from the federal government to do the work that has to be done in the Coomera Railway Station. They're going to do a multi-storey car park. We're going to see another 4 or 5...
Order, everyone. Members for Logan and Buderim. Thank you. Commence again.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker. We're going to see another 400 or 500 cars being parked at Coomera Railway Station. A fantastic result, and thank you, Bert Van Manen, Stuart Robert and the federal government, the ScoMo federal government, for delivering that $15 million. And by the way, all the way up and down, what did the candidate? He just kept on matching. Yeah, we'll match that. Yeah, we'll match that. Yeah, we'll match that, because he knew full well there wasn't any more money around. Bus services. Interesting. Ormeau to Coomera Railway Station has 2 bus services running between them. Bus service 722 and 721. One of them runs a little bit longer now because I put an argument forward, and finally the minister and the department listened to me and are now running it. But 2 bus services, fastest growing region in Queensland, and we've got 2 bus services running between the 2 railway stations that service it. Absolutely ludicrous. Build the railway station up the north, you'll probably save on the bus services. You probably won't have to deliver those as quickly. PCYC in Pimpama, already 461 electronic signatures for the PCYC in Pimpama. We need that. We need it desperately. Was there anything in the police budget for that? No, nothing there, as there was nothing in the police budget for the police hub and the first additional police. Hospital at Coomera, the fastest growing area in Queensland again, nothing at all. Nothing from Gold Coast Health to tell us when we might see something there. We've got Gold Coast University Hospital is already desperately under massive pressure, and the Northern Gold Coast has got nothing. No hospital, nothing at all. So when are we going to see that? There's nothing on the horizon for that. Nothing out of this Health Minister. So we see there's a need. Sorry, one other step. There's a new Fire and Emergency Services station. I thank the Minister for the Fire and Emergency Services station. Absolutely fantastic. Because I've got to say that, and your turn to come, Minister. New Fire and Emergency Services station at Pimpama. So acknowledged that we need a Fire and Emergency Services. Acknowledged that we need, and let's bring it on now. We acknowledge we need more schools. In my electorate, in the time that I've been there, 10 new schools have been built. 10 new schools. 10 new schools in 10 years. It'll be 11 new schools in 11 years, and yes, 12 new schools in 12 years. That's the fastest growing region in Queensland, and we've got the schools, and I'll come back to that in a minute. We've got the Fire and Emergency Services base. We've got the new ambulance station that was upgraded from a training station, and how many police? No, doesn't work. No, we don't need the police. We need all of these other services, but we don't need the police. It does not make sense. Absolutely doesn't make sense. Bus services for Jacobs Well, for goodness sake, it's a fast-growing region. We have never had a full-time bus service going out to Jacobs Well to bring people into the Ormeau railway station. Once again, nothing in this budget for them. So the special school for the Northern Gold Coast, Minister, I would ask the Minister through you, Mr Speaker, Mr Deputy Speaker, where is the special school for the Northern Gold Coast that was promised prior to the last election? The people, I've spoken to my principals, and they tell me, absolutely, Michael, we do need it. A good job in the schools area, Minister, and thank you. Thank you for continuing the planning. Thank you for continuing the planning that was put in place, the Schools Planning Commission that was put in place by us when the member for Surfers Paradise was the Minister, and I can remember. I never forget. Pimpin State Primary College. Here we were. He went
Order,
out,
everyone. Order.
He came out to do the sod turning for it, and he looked around him and he said, well, here we are in the middle of nowhere. There was nothing around us. There were no houses around us while we were there turning the sod. But that planning commission knew that we needed it, and you should see it now, Mr Speaker. You should see it now. It is absolutely mind-blowing. The growth in the area, as I said, fastest growing region in Queensland. I've got more than 40,000 electors. It's by far, by hundreds, if not thousands, ahead of anyone, and certainly thousands and thousands ahead of the average. Some of these people around here, some of these members around here have got something like 31 or 32,000 constituents. Fastest growing region in Queensland. All recognition given to the schools, as I've just said, the emergency services, ambulances, but where are the police? Where are the roads and bridges? Where is that happening? Where is the hospital? Why are we not, Mr Speaker, getting the recognition that we need in the Northern Gold Coast, to the extent that this minister didn't even bother putting one word in the budget papers for a $96 million desperately needed investment in exits 41 and 49. It's not there. It only appeared in Q-Trip, and I would suggest that he was dragged kicking and screaming to deliver that, because he knew that if he didn't do it now, it'd be too late for him in June 2020. Absolutely too late. But nothing for the for the second M1. Absolutely diabolical that that's happening. But as I said, I'll tip that we will see that railway bridge open in the not too distant future. Mr Speaker, in conclusion, what have we got? We've got higher taxes. We've got more debt. We've got less jobs, and we absolutely have less infrastructure in the Northern Gold Coast seat of Coomera, the fastest growing region in Queensland, the only one that this minister keeps on staying in the slow lane on.
Thank you.